Chapter 4 dropped yesterday and you will not believe what we actually also got added to the game, which basically nobody talked about. And yes, there is some crazy stuff in there. So with that being said, let's jump right into it, everything that you might have missed. Alright, so let's start with the first one, and for this first one I have to admit, I think it might get patched out. Take out an explosive device. You can, well, give it a little bit of gravity. Basically now interacts like an actual physics object. Which is absolutely insane. So if it bounces down, you can see that it bounces and it falls over. It is absolutely insane. And I'm not sure if it's meant to be in here. I would guess probably not, because this is like in creative. This is creative. You can see I can just pick it up and then do it again, and it will bounce off again. I don't think it's meant to be in here, but it is absolutely insane. To be fair, this is something that I wish would be in creative, like actually, and not just being a glitch. And I really hope that in the future we actually get more of these, or get actually like a device that can actually turn anything into physics. So I wonder if this works in game. We have the launchpad disabled, we have an explosive device on it, and we have a trigger which enables all of them. So here it goes. It does work. Oh my god. There could be so many new amazing new game modes with this one. And they even work. This could be so amazing. So the next one you probably have already seen, but the movement modifier now, how it's called, got a lot of changes, and it's actually pretty cool. It's basically now a speed boost pad and the movement modulator in one package. The yellow speed boost one completely got removed from here. It's not anywhere to be found, and it's basically now all packed into this device. So for example, you can now have the impulse, which then was the old one where you basically get boosted a little bit. It obviously has now a lot of new options. For example, you can turn off the plate on it and only have the arrows. And you can now even change the color to whatever you want. Before that, it was obviously just limited to whatever like speed or downgrade on speed you had. And now you can actually change whatever color you wanted to. For example, if you want to have it in yellow, you can do that with the effect only, which I personally think is really cool. It's a really cool update to this device. It's one of the devices which people used a lot. But one thing which impressed me the most about this new movement modulator is that you can actually now attach it to play. So you can see if we can jump on here, we get booped away, right? So now we do not touching it, we are far away from it, and we are pressing a button. And I can jump around with this. So you can basically now create your own movement, your own boost mechanics within this like little thing, which is absolutely insane. You can now create superhero abilities by yourself, and basically all you have to do for this one is make sure that you use this option over here, which is the last option in the pad, and turn it to on, which allows you basically to send signals, and then you make sure that you obviously activate it via a remote controller or trigger, whatever, and then you can basically have your own double jumps and everything that you ever wanted. Some of you guys mentioned this device here, which is the decals, and some of you are wondering what this even is, because this is the old decals which we had in the gallery before, and you can now have this as a device. I'm pretty sure this was here before, like it was in a different gallery or something, but if you're wondering how this works, you have to do it on the floor or wall or whatever, so otherwise you will not see anything. So you can see the arrows pointing up, and if I go here to the floor, you can actually see this, and you can change whatever thing you want here, A, B, C, D, the arrows. It's really cool. I think a lot of people didn't even use this device before because it was kind of awkward to use. But I think with this one, it's actually pretty decent. Super overdue is the team settings inventory device. The icon actually shows the old one, but if you place it down, it is a new one, which you can finally copy and paste. This was probably one of the most annoying things to have to set up multiple team setting devices. Now you can all do it here, and you can just copy them. It is super nice to do. It is basically the same setting as before, just the normal settings, but it's obviously now finally a prop version and not the trap version. Next on the list is something that might flew over the radar for some of you guys, but the Mutators on Damage Zone and the Barrier device now all have an option to make it a cylinder. No, not the crazy thing in the world, but if you need that, it is super helpful and something that was missing for quite a while. All of these can do this now. You can see, you can just go in here, then look for the shape. I think for this one, it's right down here. You do not have to do the circle trick anymore with these. So it's really cool that we got an update on these as well. This next one is still not even the craziest one. While I think this is really cool and really helpful, it is still not on the crazy list. The sequencer finally, after all those years, is also a prop version now. So you can now place it and do whatever we want with it. We can finally angle it at the positions we wanted to, which will lead to obviously having a lot of cool like boss fights. You can use this for all kinds of things. And it also has a few new settings. You can finally set the tempo by typing a number. This was actually so painful before, and we can finally do that by typing in. So there's also a few other settings in this device, but other than that, the device is pretty much the same. So for example, using flashing warning sign is new, and also the loops got basically split up. Before that, you had like infinity in this option as well. So now you have just number of loops, and then if you want to have it infinity or not. But this is actually not the craziest thing about the sequencer yet, and still not the craziest thing in the entire thing. Yes, we can now finally move it wherever we want, but did you also know that we could also use a prop mover on it? So for example, we can actually move the thing while it's actually activated. And if we now start the game, you will see that everything moves together, which is absolutely insane. And while we're at the prop mover, yes, the prop mover also got a few setting changes, especially the one which I think is really cool is that the speed got increased a little bit. I think the max speed was 32 before, it's now on 50. And I think also the distance got pushed out quite a bit as well. But there's one thing which people say all the time and like tag me in, the rotation in the prop mover. I tested this out multiple times and it still doesn't work. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but I don't think the setting works now. Let's have a look if the rotation finally got put into the game. Jesus, that is fast. So let's have a look if we can finally rotate with the prop mover. Doesn't seem to do anything. I don't know why we can just have the rotation. Another item which you might have missed is the trick towel. The trick towel now finally works without having it to place on a trap or just like having it to use like a trap. I'm not sure what the point of this device is then, because I think that was the only real point of this. Because we technically have the prop manipulator, which can do everything that the trick towel can do, but better. But I guess some people just like to use this one. And you maybe want to use the bouncing thing here. I think that's the only real difference there. So I think the only reason why you want to use this one is actually when you want to use less devices, because you technically can use this without a trigger, triggering that the props have to disappear on this one. I guess this one is more specific to actually being a trap, and this one is just overall hiding stuff and manipulating props. No, this is not an unreleased prop. I do not glitch this in. You can actually get this via the VFX spawner, not the VFX creator. And if you disable the developer VFX, you can get this. By default, this is turned off. You will have these obviously normal settings here, but if you turn this on, you can have the small tornado and a lot of other stuff. I'm going to say that with a little bit grain of salt, because I'm not sure if this was going to stay in the game for everybody, and I'm not sure if this is meant to be in the game. I think it's cool that we can have a look at it and see if this works or not. It's really cool, but I'm not sure if it will stay for everybody in the game. You remember when we could only had 16 cars? Well, that's a thing of the past. We can now have as many as obviously fit in the memory, but we can have as many as we want now. And this works with every car, so if I delete all of these and I could just use hundreds of octanes, this would all fit into the island. It is actually one of the coolest things that happened to Fortnite, and it will allow for so much more racing and just car maps in general, because one of the biggest things is that you obviously had to respawn a car every time. You could not really have like a respawn, so you could only have maximum 16 levels if you could not transfer a car over. It is so cool that we finally can have as much cars as we want, obviously as much as fit into the island. At first I thought this update was going to be boring, because it's always a season update and we never get a lot, but this is absolutely game changing. And with that being said, enjoy the tools that we got, enjoy the new updates to the devices, and bye.